Remarkable! Incredible! Unbelievable!
Save! And Falco are champions!
It doesn't get any better than that.
In just its second season of Premier Division action, New York Empire Football Club is already seen as a threat by the other teams in the combined Northeast American conferences. In fact, the black and yellow at this moment finds itself tied for not only first place in terms of standing, but also for most goals scored across two games in its northern subconference. And of course, NYEFC, fueled by that healthy ambition, now sets its sights on disrupting the relentless reign of the New York Renegades, who are also tied for first place and possess the most resilient defense in the conference, considering that it has conceded 0 goals so far across 2 matches. So of course, when one talks about favorites in this competition as a whole, New York Renegades Football Club will always be amongst them, thanks to its mentality of actively welcoming adverse challenges to confirm its dominion, as indicated by the words of its president in prior interviews. So again, New York Empire Football Club takes on New York Renegades Football Club right here in this UPSL match. Behind the camera is Roberto Estrada, I am Sean Cabrera, and this is the United Premier Soccer League on Game in Frame. And of course, we could go over the starting roster for both sides. We'll start first with the home team. Well, it says home team on paper, but in reality, both these clubs share this complex, so it's more or less a neighborly bout between these two. So, New York Renegades Football Club, coached today by Boris Linares, also president of the team. It will feature the likes of Eric Edwards in goal, and the 4-3-3 formation will be sported by Cristian Garcia on the left-hand side. On the opposite lateral side will be Francisco Flores, also known as Pacha. In between those two, we'll find the likes of the Paraguayan veteran Samuel Cáceres, alongside O.J. Bedward, already making an impact with this team defensively. Likewise, it'll feature a trio of midfielders. Playing center defensive midfielder, we'll find Yoyo Alexander, or Johanse Alexander, as his full name entails. Likewise, next to him, we'll find Oscar Ortoldo, as he's also known, Rivas. And on the opposite side, we'll find Jonathan Silveira, the Uruguayan. Now, interestingly, even though it's a 4-3-3, it could also be coined as a 4-4-2 diamond formation, because playing as a false 9 of sorts will be Junior Rosero, the Colombian forward. On the left wing, we'll also find his Colombian compatriot, Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, and on the right wing will be Dylan Woods, the Honduran defender, now gone winger. Again, he is quite versatile. You could practically apply him anywhere on the field, and he is bound to get you results. And the rest of the New York Renegades Football Club roster for today includes Giancarlo Perez, the backup goalkeeper, Edgar Velasquez, Henry Martinez, Rances Reneao, Angelo Puerto Quintanilla, Adil Gowani, Mauricio Puerto, Milton Campos, and last but certainly not least, Justin Linares. So now for the opposite side, for the quote-unquote away team in this fixture, New York Empire Football Club, coached today by Max Ferro, as I am told. Max Ferro has decided to sport a 5-3-2 formation. So 5 defenders in the back, but first let's start with the goalkeeper himself, Jonathan Villasis. So Villasis will be aided defensively by, first on the left-hand side, playing that wing-back role, Stephen Hollis. On the opposite flank, we'll find Edward Speed. In the central part of the defensive third, we'll find Kendall Thomas. To Kendall Thomas's right-hand side, however, we'll find Trevor Henderson, and to his left-hand side, we'll find George Yusuf. The trio of midfielders today will also include Sebastian Monroy, Daniel Moya, and Nicolas Reynoso. And finally, the 2 forwards up top will be Timothy DeMay as well as MG Gus. So that sports the 5-3-2 formation, and on the bench we'll find the likes of Hero Aaron, Mateus Adamek, Naim Charles, Mason Chetty, Wilbur Gomez, as well as Carlos Martinez, Giuseppe Vitale, the backup goalkeeper, Steven Rojas, and last but certainly not least, Ryan Mehriadi. So those have been your starting 11s for both teams, as well as the full roster registered for today. And of course, this broadcast has been brought to you by Salt Athletic. Salt Athletic has made the Air Case, the world's freshest, most advanced cleat bag that blocks smell by using antimicrobial technology that makes for odor-free car rides and houses. Salt Athletic is offering the Game and Frame community an exclusive discount. So scan the QR code to get 10% off and keep it fresh. As we await for the arrival of the New York Empire FC players. In the meanwhile, New York Renegades Football Club, and surely one of their final huddles before the initial whistle itself, New York Renegades Football Club likewise will be sporting an all-black uniform accompanied by multicolored details, mostly orange and blue, but luckily for us, their lettering and numbers, I should say, is in white. New York Empire Football Club, on the other hand, and it's distinctly bright yellow, accompanied by black details with white socks, however. Eric Edwards, the goalkeeper for New York Renegades FC, will be wearing an all-blue kit, as we will shortly confirm the uniform for Villasis, the goalkeeper for New York Empire Football Club. So, of course, also do make sure to follow Game in Frame on Instagram for the latest in Northeast grassroots soccer. As for now, in fact, the stands here in this venue in Long Island, New York, close to packed. And as I had said off camera, or off audio, I should say, to camera operator and producer for today, Roberto Estrada, I do hope that the electricity from the crowd transfers over to the players and, of course, by default, to this broadcast. As the sun sets here in this part of New York, and despite only 2 match days being complete so far this season, tonight's contest could very well be the one that has the most repercussions on the final regular season standings of the Northeast American North Conference. Tonight's participants, New York Empire FC and New York Renegades FC, are 2 of 3 teams tied for first place on points, the other team, of course, being New York Bravehearts Soccer Club. Both teams have demonstrated, and in this early campaign so far, the fact that they are specialists and forcing their opponent onto their back foot. Again, shown by the fact that both have respectively scored at least 6 goals at this moment. So, in other words, fire may be met with fire here. As all the players, starting 11 that is, align themselves. as the national anthem of the United States is played here. We are expecting a barn burner here in this part of Long Island, New York, as New York Empire FC takes on New York Renegades FC in what could be an early title decider when it comes to the regular season, which of course has grander consequences when we're analyzing and talking about the postseason. A long-term goal in which both teams have already set their sights upon. New York Renegades FC has made it clear, even in game one, even prior to that, that they anticipate on heading to the postseason, on being amongst the nation's best teams. New York Empire FC, on the other hand, looking to disrupt again the reign that has been displayed by New York Renegades Football Club for a handful of seasons now. NYEFC has displayed a promising start as the two captains meet for now at the halfway line themselves. And again, this is a packed venue for now in this part of New York. Samuel Cáceres, the captain for New York Renegades Football Club. Meanwhile, Edward Speed, the captain for his side, New York Empire FC. One final huddle for NYEFC, labeled as the away side in this fixture. And behind the camera is Roberto Estrada. I am Sean Cabrera. And we thank you for tuning into this transmission of the UPSL right here on Game and Frame. And I must add that I don't believe weather will be a factor here. It's actually been a very pleasant Easter Sunday. Speaking of which, happy Easter to everyone watching this, of course, and to those who observe it. As it will be the team in yellow to start with the ball first at their feet. As the referee ensures everything is in order. The latest hot shot, New York Empire Football Club challenges the decorated dynasty of New York Renegades Football Club in this United Premier Soccer League bout on Game in Frame. New York Empire FC gets the ball rolling, and the back line already with its initial touches on the ball, currently at the feet of Sebastian Monroy, the Colombian midfielder, dropping back quite a bit as he played it laterally toward Trevor Henderson on the right-hand side. Now switching toward the opposite back, George Yusuf opening himself for the pass as Trevor Henderson receives. Henderson to his skipper, Speed. Edward Speed telling his defender to lob it forward toward the torso of the number 25 for this team, Timothy DeMay, one of two strikers, as Goose, the initial target man, encounters the head of Eric Edwards. Sweeper keeping somewhat, just on the edge of his own 18-yard box. As now New York Renegades FC can start an offense from this sort of position as Cáceres connects momentarily with Silveira. New York Empire FC retrieving the ball for now, thanks to a back pass from George Yusuf, the English defender, trusting the footwork of Jonathan Villasis. To the back line it goes once more, as Kendall Thomas, the Trinidadian defender, plays it toward George Yusuf. At the feet of MG Goose. Quick 1-2s with the fellow wide midfielder. Back pass once more. So New York Empire FC again sporting a 5-3-2 formation. New York Renegades FC on paper with a 4-4-2 diamond formation, but in reality that could easily transform itself into a 4-3-3 formation with Junior Rosero playing the false 9 role. In other words, Junior Rosero's creativity will be put to the test in this bout as New York Empire FC already in the opposing half. It's with Speed on the right wing. Speed currently being marked by Cristian Garcia, the Ecuadorian defender of New York Renegades Football Club. Back pass. At the feet of the defender, Sebastian Monroy. Play forward, DeMay. Played out wide toward the left-hand side. Looking for a cross, perhaps. Eric Edwards. Oh, that's a loose ball. Still inside the 6-yard box it goes. As eventually it's cleared toward the feet of Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo. A dangerous moment for Eric Edwards. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo decelerating. Ball at his foot. Pauses. Continues marching forward along the left flank. Chasing him down. Trevor Henderson. Trevor Henderson implementing the shoulder. Winning the defensive duel. And it's arguably in those aerial scenarios in which New York Empire FC finds itself at its most dangerous, at its most lethal. That being said, however, the opening corner kick goes to New York Renegades FC. Garcia outpaces his man, crossing it along the ground, cleared away. Yo-Yo Alexander. Yo-Yo, back out wide toward Cáceres. The Paraguayan connecting with another South American in the form of Junior Rosero, hailing from Colombia. Crossed once more, inside the 18-yard box it goes, way too much power behind it. It's a goal kick for Villasís. As Jonathan Villasís, currently eyeing that left-hand side, and in fact that's where the ball goes, toward George Yusuf. George Yusuf, pushing the ball upward, entrusting Daniel Moya. Moya, back to Yusuf. Yo-Yo Alexander blocking it at first. Still a loose ball that can be recovered by the New York Empire Football Club number 4. As he goes down, and he's still down on the ground, the assistant referee ensuring that he's all right and fit to continue. Nothing malicious, although quite physical, of course, and that's what we expect in this sort of bout. Behind the nature of it, with all this context, considering that these two teams are amongst arguably the favorites for the regular season title. And one of these two teams is hoping to get away with the spoil of 3 points. New York Empire Football Club taking the throw in. Demey controlling it with his right foot. Junior Rosero with the interception to now Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo. The Colombian back passing it to O.J. Bedward. Along the right wing it goes, Junior Rosero. Now switching sides, Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo has Cristian Garcia overlapping him. Rosero once more, the quick 1-2 option. Still with Ruiz Restrepo. Several feints over the ball. At the feet of Bedward. A symbol of strength in that back line for New York Renegades Football Club. Played out wide, Cáceres. Cáceres crossed, it's still inside the penalty area. A loose ball for Villasís. So Villasís rolls it out toward his right-hand side. Now at the feet of Speed. Edward Speed, the Welsh defender, asking for a pass. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo cutting down the angle. Here comes Junior Rosero inside the penalty area, wide! And only just. Dangerous moment for NYEFC. The New York Renegades nearly punishing the away team in this bout, as the Empire itself unable to fully generate a counterattack, slithering away from what could have been an early concession of goal within these opening 6 minutes. Currently 61 degrees Fahrenheit here in this part of Long Island, New York. Well, now 59 degrees Fahrenheit. It hardly feels cooler. In fact, it's quite nice weather with winds of 5 miles per hour, gusts of up to 11 miles per hour. Nothing game-changing, and this should be, again, a pleasant evening for an exhilarating game as Garcia plays it toward Ruiz Restrepo. Ruiz Restrepo taking on the challenge of Speed. Speed dropping back. Garcia, left-footed cross toward that second post, cleared away by Empire. Speed now at the feet of Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, a touch too strong. There could have been a foul almost. Still on his feet, a good sign of bounce from Reynoso, and Demey receives a clever pass. Demey through pass as well toward Goose. And now Eric Edwards, the Jamaican goalkeeper, toying with the sphere at his feet before playing it toward his right-hand side. Cáceres to Yo-Yo Alexander. 2 veterans of this Renegade squad. 2 longtime members, in fact. Eric Edwards. who's known for his gutsiness and perhaps flair as well with the ball at his feet. Speaking of flair, Junior Rosero back passing it. We've seen in several seasons how he's able to generate or create some of the most clever assists possible. As Rosero still chasing down that ball. Villasis can recover the loose ball. A good header backwards from Trevor Henderson. Trevor Henderson has a nearby option in the form of Speed. Instead, a little more ambitious. Goose being tightly marked by Bedwern. Reynoso shoved off the ball. No foul, says the referee. Perhaps to the disappointment of some members here in the crowd. Renegades in the opposition half, although opting for some slow build-up. Cristian Garcia asking for the switch play on the left-hand side. Still at the feet of Cáceres. Cáceres to Yo-Yo Alexander. Bedwern seizing the ball. OJ Bedwern marching forward. Cristian Garcia. Left-footed pass. Junior Rosero. Quick 1-2s along the left flank. Speed. Unable to block it. Crossed inside. Bouncing off the head of a New York Renegades player within the 6-yard box. A little less power, and that could have been deflected into the goal. But for now, it remains scoreless. 2 official shots registered. None on target for now for New York Renegades Football Club, New York Empire FC. So far, absorbing the pressure, trying to study its opponent. As the goalkeeper in gray, Jonathan Villasis, plays it toward his nearest defender. Still with New York Empire Football Club, crossing into the enemy half. Switch play. Reynoso not the target, instead Speed using his head, getting to the ball just in time. Henderson being kept quite busy as Speed once more. Lateral play. Entrusting his number 3, Sebastian Monroy, with the ball. Lob forward by George Yusuf, but it's an interception by New York Renegades Football Club. Rosero dispossessed. Heroic standing challenge by Sebastian Monroy, the center midfielder for today for New York Empire Football Club, who we've noticed has been dropping further and further back. And we can clearly see the outright defensive approach of New York Empire Football Club with 5 in the back line. As that's a risky pass inside the 18-yard box. Rosero still in possession. Rosero forced to play it back out wide. A slight retreat, an early cross served right-footed toward the far post, way too wide. New York Empire Football Club playing with fire for now. Risky pass from Kendall Thomas. In a 5-3-2 formation, of course, there's most strain on the wing backs, I should say. So Stephen Hollis, alongside Edward Speed, will be put to the test, as they'll have to control the tempo not only in their own third, but arguably in the opposition's third. As Dylan Woods, the Honduran winger for today, brought down. Infraction according to the referee. New York Renegades Football Club, coached by Boris Linares for today. New York Empire Football Club, coached by Max Ferro. Cáceres, booming that ball toward the opposite wing. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, taking it right back from the head of Speed. The Welsh defender unable to cut that cross. Rosero, no look cross! Shot taken, shot above the bar. A shot way too strong, way too powerful. Though it's enough to give Villasis a slight fright. Goal kick for New York Empire Football Club. Neither goalkeeper has had to use his gloves, as Demey is forced into a missed pass. He was aiming to connect for a quick 1-2 with Stephen Hollis, the left wing back. DeMay, unable to successfully flick it forward, now at the feet of Cristian Garcia. Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo, one step over, dribbling with the right foot, lobbing it as well, into the gloves of Villasís it goes. Too strong as Junior Rosero, perhaps trying to cut down Villasís' angle, or his view more accurately. Dangerous pass, almost a giveaway. Dummy pass attempted by Gus, results in a giveaway. Speed, unable to tackle it away from Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo. Garcia, all the way back toward the feet of O.J. Bedward. And ultimately, the goalkeeper gets himself involved, give or take 15 to 20 yards away from his 18-yard box, lobbing it toward the vicinity of Junior Rosero, Reynoso of New York Empire Football Club. Playing it toward George Yusuf, who puts it right back up into the air. Loose ball, Yo-Yo Alexander with the last touch, but not with the last laugh. Empire momentarily recovering it. Now with New York Renegades Football Club. Dylan Woods on the right wing. Rosero, too much flair, results in an interception. As now they decide to use the widths of the pitch here, lobbing it centrally. Gus has Bedward as well as the Jamaican goalkeeper of New York Renegades FC. One step over isn't enough to beat Bedward. A solid defensive performance from O.J. Bedward at this moment. As Dylan Woods still has the ball at his feet, inside the penalty area, crossing it toward Rosero, goes wide. Nobody at the back post. And once more, NYEFC remains alive here. Remains with a concession of 0 goals at this moment. Toward Reynoso it goes. Speed, the nearest option, instead lobbed forward. Cáceres winning the aerial duel against Gus. Both tracking for the ball as Bedward plays it toward Cristian Garcia, asking for a nearby option, most likely in the form of Toldo Rivas, as Bedward plays it toward Cáceres. Cáceres entrusting Francisco Pacha, as he's also known, Flores. In fact, Pacha made himself a hero in week 1 of UPSL action in the Premier Division, when he was able to complete a header for a, at the moment, 1-0 result versus Brooklyn FC, as that ball goes out of play. Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo taking way too much space. Goal kick for New York Empire Football Club. So again, Pacha in that game made it 1-0 in stoppage time in the 90+1 minute. And Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo solidified the 2-0 result with a shot from within the penalty area. Again, New York Renegades Football Club in week 1, victorious against Brooklyn FC in a 2-0 result. As the referee deems it not a foul, New York Renegades Football Club. Rivas, somehow the ball still to his foot. Rivas, left-footed dribbling, brought down. No, says the referee, completely clean. Counter-attack is on, as it's now at the foot of Sebastian Monroy. Speed, Reynoso, Gus. Fortunately for him, his center back, Kendall Thomas, not on the same page as the Trinidadian defender retreats to the back line. Currently a little bit vulnerable as Junior Rosero is onside inside the penalty area. He's pushed down, no foul. Rosero, saved by Villasís. Villasís with an outstretched left leg, doing just enough with the starfish block. Fantastic stop by Villasís. Even better positioning by Junior Rosero, arguably, timing his run and timing his acceleration. Although one can't deny the crucial no call in favor of Kendall Thomas. So one official shot on target, one great save by Villasís. As Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo toward Toldo Rivas. It went inside the penalty area, way too much juice behind it. Goal kick once more for New York Empire Football Club. As we've got a treat of a boisterous crowd. No feeling can surpass the liveliness here of not only a packed house, but of a very animated crowd. Snare drums and all, apparently. As Villasis takes his time with the goal kick, left-footed, making its way beyond the halfway line. That's a good goal kick, in fact. New York Renegades FC nearly taking it away as Henderson has speed to his right-hand side, and toward the number 2 it goes, the skipper. Now in possession of the ball, Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo closing down the angle alongside Rosero, but it's not enough as Kendall Thomas was in the driver's seat for a moment or two. Demey, clever flick. Goose, MG Goose. Goose connecting with Reynoso. Reynoso cutting it inward. Back to Goose. Goose inside the penalty area. Eric Edwards gets his gloves dirty. A good connection between those two. Just a little too strong, but the creativity is there. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo offside. As he tells his teammate to time the passes just a little bit faster, albeit with a smile and laugh. And that's a good call by the assistant referee. It was about a body offside. As now Henderson can restart the play from this free kick. As Sebastian Monroy, or Monroy I should say, plays it back toward Henderson, the number 22. Henderson entrusting Daniel Moya with the ball at his feet, also known as Danny Moya. New York Renegades Football Club, Yo-Yo Alexander, still in possession of the sphere at his feet. It's poked away eventually. A good defensive tussle that ultimately is won by New York Empire FC. So far, we're about to approach the completion of the 20th minute here. Still scoreless, however, it is New York Renegades Football Club that has the only shot on target so far, as well as the most attempted shots in general, with 4, if I'm not mistaken. The only shot on target coming from Junior Rosero in a breakaway. That required an outstanding save by Villasis. Demey with the half spin, poked away by Toldo Rivas. Rosero tried switching the play. A little too lateral for the likes of Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, who capitalizes on his pace as well as flair. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, one step over, back pass toward Toldo Rivas. Rivas chased by Demey as well as Reynoso. Toward the right flank it goes. Dylan Woods, quick 1-2, Junior Rosero. Connecting once more with the right winger. Cross toward that back post. New York Empire Football Club clears a still dangerous one as the Renegades somehow retain the ball. O.J. Bedward, the Big 12, now at the feet of Garcia. The left back known for his overlapping runs. Toldo Rivas to Yo-Yo Alexander, back to Bedward. And if we had a heat map for now when it comes to New York Renegades Football Club possession, we'd see a lot of red and orange, not only in the opposition's half, in that middle third, more precisely, but also in the final third, as Yo-Yo Alexander back passes it toward O.J. Bedward. O.J. Bedward to a wide open Cristian Garcia. Low press by Reynoso and co. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, right-footed to Toldo Rivas. Quick flick. Ruiz Restrepo inside the penalty area, using the outside part of his foot, almost on target. Encountered a yellow brick wall as Demey shoved off the ball before it even arrived to him. O.J. Bedward using his physicality, legally according to the referee. Eric Edwards, the all-blue keeper for the Renegades today, booting it forward. Renegades intercepting that ball once more in the opposition's third. And this is perhaps something that New York Empire Football Club is not too used to, as now a shot is taken via Cease, required for a thunderous shot. A great response by the goalkeeper to keep it a scoreless game for now. Way too much space, way too much time. The New York Renegades nearly capitalizing as they've won themselves the second corner kick of the game. Again, all two corner kicks have belonged to the team dressed in black, as this one left-footed toward the back post. Cáceres, the target man. Ball still live as Garcia feints the first cross, feints the second, back chopping it. Way too many touches. The lead referee signaling a foul against Garcia, if I'm not mistaken, for having indicated an extra kick. A sloppy infraction, given that New York Renegades Football Club did have the momentum, as Villasis stalls a little bit before this left-footed delivery once more makes its way past the halfway line. Demey receiving a slight shove from Cristian Garcia. Demey being helped out by his number 6, Daniel Moya. Goose! Demey trying to take it away, as now Eric Edwards, with some high knees, escorts the ball away. Again, we did talk about how he likes to put on an exhibition. Part-time goalkeeper, part-time comedian, part-time magician as well, Eric Edwards. And believe me, sometimes Eric Edwards with the ball at his feet is quite a treat to see. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo shielding the ball away from speed. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo along the left wing. Sebastián crossing it, encountering a wall. Second chance denied by Kendall Thomas. Good recovery by Empire. As Reynoso tried to return the favor on the right wing, chopping it inward. Has Toldo Rivas marking him. Toward Moya. Daniel Moya. Evading the first challenge, the second one still clipping him. No foul, says the referee. Demey through passing it. Goose trying to make some connection on the ball, and in doing so, he's declared offside. More than 24 minutes have gone by, still scoreless. New York Empire Football Club looking for its first attempted shot, as well as first shot on target by default. As Edwards lobs it toward Pacha Flores. Pacha having to reach just a little bit to keep it alive. Dillon Woods, winning the aerial duel against the Empire player. Now with Silveira, the Uruguayan. Silveira brought down. Foul, says the referee. This should be a free kick from about, I would say, 40 yards. As it's played quickly by the Uruguayan. The ball being shared between South Americans before Bedward interrupts it. As Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, the Colombian, to Yo-Yo Alexander. As a Trinidadian veteran tries to connect with Junior Rosero, brought down. New York Empire Football Club with a well-timed tackle. Demey crossing into the enemy half. Goose accompanying him along that flank, or I should say opposite flank, as Demey tried pushing that ball forward along the same wing. A desperate pass by Demey, given that the New York Renegades were closing down the space. Bedward. Garcia, left-footed through pass. Lovely ball. Junior Rosero, offside. Next week, of course, a determined Red Hook Football Club challenges the up-and-coming New York Empire Football Club to a Saturday 7:30 p.m. United Premier Soccer League outing. Next Sunday at 4 p.m., there is a top 5 tussle in the American Premier Soccer League as Hoboken FC goes toe-to-toe with New York Greek Americans. At 6 p.m. in the same competition, that same Sunday, more UPSL Metropolitan Conference action ensues as Kids Super Samba AC attempts to disrupt the pecking order against Manhattan Celtic. Finally, next week's Sunday night will be closed by a David and Goliath encounter in the same competition between last place SC Vistula Garfield and first place New York Penn Cyprian Freedoms. That at 8 p.m. All these matches will be broadcast exclusively here on Game in Frame, your home for grassroots soccer. As we are now officially past the 27th minute, loose ball in the middle third, recovered by Goose. Goose was hoping that DeMay could have accelerated toward the ball, but cutting down the angle first was a New York Renegade defender in the form of Cáceres. Goose still marching forward. Edwards required once more. Loose ball. Edwards catapulting it toward his left-hand side. Garcia. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo. From Colombia to Ecuador. From Ruiz Restrepo toward Garcia. Garcia, cross. No black jersey nearby. Still outside the penalty area. Aerial duel won by New York Renegades FC. The clearance, on the other hand, won by the team in yellow. Throw in taken toward Cáceres. Play forward along that right wing. Dylan Woods offside. A tight call, but the right call. About half a body offside. No question about it. Already seeing a number of offside calls against New York Renegades FC. And one has to respect the way in which New York Renegades FC has been able to reply to the back line of 5 from New York Empire Football Club. Cáceres. Giveaway. DeMay. DeMay has Welsh speed for the switch play as the number 6 opts to play it toward another defender. Speed. Great first touch. Great chopping inward. Henderson. Right-footed lob. Edwards to intercept. And Edwards with the basket catch is able to hold on to the ball. Only for a second or two before he throws it out wide. As for now, DeMay in possession. DeMay hoping for some reinforcement. And this is where the 5-3-2 sports its risks offensively. You have to wait for those wing backs to accelerate all the way as Speed approaches toward the central part of the field. Speed. The skipper toward Henderson. Henderson toward Thomas. Forward, I believe to Moya. Speed asking for the ball, not being tightly marked by Garcia. In fact, one deadly switch play could punish New York Renegades Football Club, as that gradual change is interrupted by the shift of New York Renegades FC. Thomas, left-hand side. DeMay. Momroy letting that ball go by. In fact, Momroy was directing as to where that ball should have gone, as Thomas plays it once more toward the left back, George Yusuf. The English defender opting not to touch it, allowing his Trinidadian teammate to get some ball time. Thomas fixed the first pass, winning himself some space for a very small trek, not roaming too long, as Yusuf in the driver's seat, lobbing it toward that right wing. Speed, not there first, as Eric Edwards proactively intercepts that ball inside his 18-yard box. Ruiz Restrepo has Garcia along the left wing. Ruiz Restrepo. It was a cut-gone pass, and you could tell by his body language that he wasn't happy with that, as Henderson plays it back toward Villasis. Forced to lob it toward the nearest touchline, being pressured by Junior Rosero. As now we have a New York Renegades Football Club throw-in. Yoyo Alexander, Christian Garcia, intercepted by Speed. DeMay looking to generate a counterattack. Now engineered by Reynoso, one rollover. Reynoso toward Goose on the right wing. Crossing it immediately, Edwards pulls it away. Very dangerous touch by the Jamaican goalkeeper, opting to palm it away, or paw it away, as a yellow card is issued toward Reynoso. As there are Renegades chants here in this venue. Again, both these teams share this complex. As this one is lobbed toward Rosero. Villasis intercepting that ball. So again, the first booking of the evening belongs to Nicolas Reynoso, the number 14 of New York Empire FC. Moya, stripped of the ball. Silveira receives the same treatment as a quick pass from Sebastian Monroy. Prohibits any sort of dispossession. Monroy with the number 3, Moya with the number 6. It's now with Reynoso momentarily. Eric Edwards clearing that ball before it reaches his 18-yard box, just on the borderline, unable to pick it up. Daniel Moya shields the ball away and wins himself the free kick in the opposition's half. Give or take 5 yards away, maybe now 10 yards away from the halfway line. Assuming this turns into an assist, would be close to a 50-yarder as the Welsh skipper's speed threatens that right wing. But something tells me that Thomas will be the target man, given his stature, as well as already displayed physicality. Driven cross, doesn't gain too much airtime. DeMay, a touch too strong as well. Counterattack, Rosero onside. Henderson impeding any sort of progress. At the feet of Sebastian Monroy. Speed. Quick lob, Eric Edwards. Controls with his chest before he decides to juggle it just a little bit. Having fun with the ball at his feet. That's just a mild taste of what he normally does. You won't find too many goalkeepers like that. Not only in this league, but in general. Garcia towards Sebastian Restrepo, the number 7. Switching the play. Pacha Flores unable to get there first. The same could be said for Cáceres. Counterattack for New York Empire Football Club. Inside the penalty area. Thinking about a shot. Cleared away. Touched away by New York Renegades FC. Halting for now a counterattack from NYEFC. As New York Empire Football Club wins itself its first corner kick of this match. 2-1 is the ratio for now in terms of corner kicks. And remember, this is where New York Empire Football Club is deadliest. Cross toward that first post, ricocheted away, back-to-back corner kicks. So now the ratio is even, 2-2, or 1-1 if you're a stern mathematician. As this one is crossed once more, lobbed up high toward the back post. Edwards intercepts, momentarily loses the ball, and collapses once more onto the sphere. Slightly risky moment. As now there's a lively cheer for New York Renegades FC. Despite the impressive number as well of Empire fans. Garcia. Silveira. Silveira dropping back quite a bit. Registered as a forward, according to the UPSL. Almost playing as a holding midfielder in that scenario as Woods. It's crossed, blocked. Second chance here for New York Renegades Football Club. Tolo Rivas. Yo-Yo Alexander. Now to OJ Bedward. Sebastian Restrepo. Sebastian trying to slither his way past his opponent. Rosero letting that ball slip, and that's a high and long clearance. Ball still in play. DeMay wrestling for the ball. Bedward with one step over does just enough to beat DeMay. Good composure from the big number 12 as Garcia plays it towards Sebastian Restrepo. Hello! Fancy flick there as well from the Colombian number 7. Trying to put on a show as well. Demonstrating some flair as New York Renegades Football Club is unable to get past that back line of black and yellow. Good recovery by Goose. Out wide. toward the Welshman. Speed. Living up to his name, of course, accelerating down that right flank, now decelerating, pausing, looking for a yellow jersey nearby, a touch perhaps too strong. Goose keeping it alive. Goose over toward Danny Moya. Now to Goose. MG Goose. As Yusuf switches the play toward Henderson. New York Empire Football Club not playing as ambitious as normal, taking its time, opting for the slow build-up. New York Empire Football Club still in the driver's seat, of course. Moment of possession lost for now as New York Renegades Football Club crosses into the enemy half. Player is brought down, another foul. The referee looks into his pocket, and that will be a booking against New York Empire FC. The second of its kind. So 2 yellow cards in this game, both of which going against the team in yellow. As it appears that George Yusuf was the one who got booked. That's judging by his stance. It was a sea of yellow to halt the counter. So for now, we'll say that George Yusuf was the player booked. Bedward, Garcia, Christian Garcia, the Ecuadorian. Over toward Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo. Has Toldo Rivas, and the fanciness cost him this time. Goose to Demey. Demey almost squeezing his way past a triumvirate of Renegades. But apparently the third tackle was the charm as they win back the ball. As the sunset is long gone, now playing in darkness, accompanied by artificial floodlights. New York Renegades Football Club evading several challenges inside the penalty area. Villasís recovers the ball as the sphere remains at his feet before being forced to pick it up by Rosero. Speed. Back to Henderson. A quick connection with Sebastian Monroy. Another Colombian here in this fixture, according to the UPSL, as Christian Garcia had Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo to help him out. Rivas, likewise, providing some aid as Jojo Alexander plays it toward Cáceres. Cáceres still keeping alive the momentum, or so one would have thought. Ball going out of play, it's a goal kick. And so far, this game has remained scoreless. New York Renegades FC has given the back line a couple scares. That is of its opponent. New York Empire FC, on the other hand, absorbing the pressure well, but perhaps just lacking that final transition into the opposition's third. As Rosero is deemed onside, perhaps to the surprise of many here. Demey has Goose to his aid, and a loose ball. Eric Edwards has speed! Goal! By speed! New York Empire Football Club takes the opening goal. A saving grace. The skipper makes it 1-0. Well, they put their Easter eggs all into one basket, hoping that the captain was well positioned, and he in fact lives up to that armband. 1-0. And how rare is this? New York Renegades conceding first. New York Empire FC sustaining itself well, now with the lead, in fact. Special moment right there for speed. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo looking to return the favor. And how many offensive opportunities had we seen or have we seen, I should say, from New York Empire FC? The answer to that would be not too many, but they always capitalize. Garcia, left-footed cross toward that second post. Dangerous clearance. Toldo Rivas nearly taking it away. Empire looking for that second goal now before the halftime whistle. Instead, he decelerates. Yo-Yo Alexander doing his job as a holding midfielder. Momroy has speed. Could be a dangerous pass here as Rosero plays it back towards Silveira. Silveira toward Rivas. Bedward. As we are under 2.5 minutes away from the halftime whistle, assuming there is no stoppage time, New York Renegades FC inside the penalty area of Villasis. Rock solid hands and an impressive hop to accompany it. As Villasis kicking it upward. May, or I should say DeMay. Reynoso unable to get there first. Loose ball, Silveira. As Toldo Rivas was knocked down by, I believe, Reynoso. As Reynoso continues to argue his case, he must be careful. He's already on a yellow card. Free kick taken quickly and taken short. Somehow makes its way toward Sebastián Restrepo, using the outside part of his foot. Not connecting with the black jersey. Silveira squeezes his way past three, goes down, looking for the foul. Referee waves it away. As Yusuf, likewise helping out. Reynoso unable to get there. It's Yo-Yo Alexander doing his job. Eric Edwards. Not being pressed by any yellow jersey. In fact, they're going for the safest option and all retreating. As we are now within the final minute of regulation here in this first half. Gus committing the sin, tripping his opponent unintentionally. This has been a very fluid game, so I can only imagine that we'd see at most a minute of stoppage. Toldo Rivas toward Cáceres. Cáceres on the right flank. Dylan Woods overlapping him as Cáceres as well, as Pacha forced to retreat toward Woods, or Woods I should say. Sebastián Restrepo unable to get there. Yo-Yo Alexander looking for a cross gone shot. And Villasis with yet another save. Junior Rosero hunting down that ball. As Villasis punts this one forward. Cáceres returning the favor. Ball still in the Renegades half. No handball according to the referee. Reynoso turning up the speed. Speaking of speed, here he comes along the right wing. Speed. Reynoso. Right-footed lob. Cross toward that second post. Gus. An extra touch. New York Empire Football Club retains possession. We are now in stoppage time, of course. A shot that ultimately doesn't go on target. Thinking about the limelight was Sebastián Momroy. Too far from the mark. As Momroy's shot will be the final touch of the ball in this first half. And after the first period of play, the halftime scoreline reads New York Renegades Football Club 0, New York Empire Football Club 1, thanks to Speed's goal. Now stay with us as we show the plays of the week, halftime analysis, and of course, the second half. This is the United Premier Soccer League Premier Division on Game in Frame.
Tristino into Junior Rosero, who gets half a yard, catches it beautifully, and opens the scoring with a rip-roaring strike.
Leaves it for Saiti. Baron, crafty, goal Richmond! Back and forth we go, now it's 2-1, it's Dylan Meadows, assist for Baron.
Chango can't quite keep it. Yoa, pick it up, dangerous area, Malachi with a shot. Beautiful save from the keeper.
Smith, now gonna bring it forward. Smith gets through two. Smith into the middle. He scores!
Mohu. Tug at the shirt. He's had a hit. What a strike!
to the captain with a lot of space. Crossed inside, using his chest. Aristotle Zazulin to the rescue.
Base. And he's looking for Richmond. He's played a nice ball over the top. He's gotten it under control. A little clip over the top. What a goal. Ball is about 23 yards out. Richmond has a hit, and he's wrong-footed DeMars. Richmond has 2 in less than 3 minutes.
Burkhart fires! Oh, that went in! That was off the bottom of the bar!
Burdick or Espinosa? It's Espinosa for a hat trick to his right foot. Hat trick for Espinosa.
Now Pickett is on the clear. He can score here, and it is saved by Cleveland.
Neto leaves it. Oliveira, 2-1, perfectly placed. Good enough pace to beat Valencia, but also the placement as well.
Now he's on. Kamara's on sides. Kamara gets around the keeper. This could be it. Could finish. It's 2. That's the final whistle.
Right side, isn't it? Can he bend it around the wall? He's gone for it, and it's tipped over the crossbar. Joe Holland, once again Perez called into action.
Willie goes long, trying to find Reynoso. Reynoso gets a touch over the keeper. Reynoso, open goal. And he finishes.
Looking for Teo the rescue, and lands to Jallo instead. Jallo still on the ball. He cuts inside. He takes a shot, and he scores! Here's Jallo. 99 makes a move. 99 puts it in the block, and there's a goal! Ryan saves the day for International. Trot now, putting the nail in the coffin. Here is Pickett. Pickett one-on-one. Pickett with the shot. Pickett with the goal! There it goes. There's a victory, International, we're looking for.
My name is Austin Brummett. I'm a men's soccer player at San Diego State University, and I play forward. The Salt Air Case helps block odor from my cleats when I'm driving in my car or when I'm keeping my cleats inside my house, so I don't have to worry about it stinking up my room. It helps me keep track of my cleats and my shin guards, so I know that they're together, and I don't have to worry about tracking them down or losing them or stressing out about where they are. I would definitely rock this, walking to the games, walking around to my trainings. And it's super helpful for travel. When I travel in the airport to go to away games, it's not going to stink up my backpack or stink up the plane where I'm sitting. Magnetic strip on the top is super easy to open to take my cleats out and to put my cleats back in. I think it's an essential part of my outfit for soccer, and it helps keep all my stuff organized and stink-free.
A quality highlight reel is crucial for college and pro recruitment. A lot of services offer generic solutions, but at Game & Frame we know every player is unique and needs a personalised approach to win over coaches. Our process is simple. We work with any footage, and if you need help finding your best plays, we'll review games for you. Once we've finished, you'll have a reel you can upload to any recruitment platform. We've helped hundreds of players get the attention they deserve, including placements in Division 1 programs. Scan the QR code or email us for a free consultation and start the journey to maximize your recruitment potential.
as we are currently enjoying the halftime break here on this Easter evening, where New York Empire Football Club currently has the 1-0 lead over the home side, New York Renegades Football Club. All thanks to the goal from the skipper, of course with speed, having caught Eric Edwards, the Jamaican goalkeeper of New York Renegades FC, out of position. All that Edward Speed had to do was just poke it in. However, before we talk about the keys to the game here in the second half, I would like to remind you that this broadcast has been brought to you by Salt Athletic. Salt Athletic has made the Aircase the world's freshest, most advanced cleat bag that blocks smell by using antimicrobial technology that makes for odor-free car rides and houses. Salt Athletic is offering the Game and Frame community an exclusive discount, so scan the QR code on your screen right now to get 10% off and keep it fresh. So of course, only one goal separating these two. However, one cannot deny the fact that it's been the New York Renegades that have had the majority of attacking chances, let alone possession when we're talking about the final third as well as opposition half. That being said, it was Empire who found its counterattack, but both teams again share a similar key to the game, and it's as follows: to avoid committing errors. We look at some of the chances that New York Renegades Football Club had in the first half, and one could tell that a good number of those came as a result of misplays or mispasses from the defensive and offensive point. For example, when Rosero had that one-on-one that required a Villasís kick save, it was Thomas who was unable to dispossess him, trying to draw the foul instead, even though it was an even 50-50 physical duel according to the referee. By the same virtue, New York Renegades Football Club allowed its only shot on target and conceded the only goal for now in this match from an error, a lack of communication, as Eric Edwards was caught in an awkward position. And the same could be said for his center back, which I believe was Bedward in that moment. And because of that lack of communication and positioning, Edward Speed merely had to poke it home. And that he was always going to do 10 out of 10 times. So the avoiding of errors will be important here. And a second element to perhaps consider is, will New York Empire FC still sport that 5-3-2 formation? They were absorbing a lot of pressure despite having 5 in the back line. Sometimes Speed wouldn't have enough space to run all the way back. So of course one of the midfielders would have to drop every now and then. But again, the question is, will New York Empire FC approach this second half with a more defensive or offensive approach? And judging the club's mentality and philosophy, I'd be inclined to say offensively. But when you're up against an opponent like New York Renegades Football Club, you'll take those 3 points in any way, shape, or form that you can. Meanwhile, for New York Renegades Football Club, it also has to begin finishing those chances. Lots of interceptions in the opposition half in the final third. Sebastián Restrepo has been engineering countless chances for the team dressed in black today. However, none have been able to finish it. In fact, it could be due to Rosero's positioning as the center attacking midfielder / false 9, perhaps playing a little too deep, even though he is capable of doing that. One can't deny his presence in the front line. And without him being actively there, the vanguard doesn't have that killer blow, since Dylan Woods and Sebastián Restrepo keep feeding the ball into the penalty area, looking for a target man. So these will be the things to consider, of course, as the second half is just moments away here. Again, behind the camera is Roberto Estrada. I am Sean Cabrera, and this is the United Premier Soccer League Premier Division on Game in Frame. And these have been your keys to the game as well. But in the meanwhile, I'd also like to remind you that next week will be filled with UPSL as well as APSL action. First, in the UPSL, a determined Red Hook Football Club challenges the up-and-coming New York Empire Football Club to a Saturday 7:30 outing. Next Sunday at 4 p.m., there is a top 5 tussle in the American Premier Soccer League as Hoboken FC goes toe-to-toe with New York Greek Americans. At 6 p.m., in the same competition, of course, that same Sunday, more APSL Metropolitan Conference action ensues as Kid Super Samba AC attempts to disrupt the pecking order against Manhattan Celtic. Finally, next week's Sunday night will be closed by a David and Goliath encounter in the same competition between last place SC Vistula Garfield and first place New York Penn Cyprian Freedoms. All these matches will be broadcast exclusively here on Game in Frame, your home for grassroots soccer. As New York Renegades FC warms up on the far hand side, as the spectators here enjoy the, to be quite honest with you, very nice field, very nice pitch here in this sports complex in Long Island, New York. New York Renegades FC looking for a response despite having its opponent on the back foot for a majority of the game. New York Empire FC now presented with a daunting task, psychologically as well, of holding on to the lead, holding on to a potential set of 3 points, and those 3 points could be what separate this from its opponent when it comes to the final regular season standings. So once more to summarize, the key to the game for both teams: avoid committing mistakes. Don't be sloppy when the ball is in your own third. It doesn't matter if you're playing defensively or offensively. Always be proactive, always be aware, scan your surroundings, and improve the communication. And at the end of the day, it's not a bad, quote-unquote, key to the game. Merely a psychological one off the ball. But it's still an important element to the game. So again, we wait for the arrival of the second half, and you are watching the United Premier Soccer League on Game in Frame. as both teams and their 11 players emerge onto the field once more. The referees as well, dressed in red, marching toward the center of the pitch. New York Empire FC with a fresh breath of air. Wow, tongue twister there. Fresh breath of air for the second half. As one more strategic chat takes place at the halfway line from the coaching staff of New York Renegades FC for the second half. New York Empire FC donning the all-yellow uniform. New York Renegades FC with the all-black kit. Villasis, the Empire goalkeeper, dressed in gray. Eric Edwards, the goalkeeper for New York Renegades FC, dressed in all-blue. As it will be Rosero to be the first player to touch the ball in the second half, as the ball is in fact rolling for another set of 45 minutes in this UPSL Premier Division bout between New York Renegades Football Club and New York Empire Football Club, with the latter holding on to a 1-0 lead. Edwards. And now that I was thinking about it, I believe the last time New York Renegades Football Club conceded first so far, excluding the US Open Cup, was in its UPSL playoff match versus Bridge Sports Club at the national level. A match in which New York Renegades Football Club ended up losing 3-2. But when it comes to the regular season, it hasn't been done in quite a while. New York Renegades FC not used to playing from behind. So there could be an additional element of urgency as Pacha plays it toward Rosero. Rosero locked down for now. Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo back to Pacha. Pacha. Oh, Yo-Yo Alexander brought down. That should be a foul. It is a foul. Quick apology from Moya. As Yo-Yo Alexander unhappy with that challenge. As Moya explains that there was no malintent behind it. And I'd have to agree with the youngster there. Poorly timed, but nothing malicious, as Yo-Yo Alexander has himself a free kick from give or take 39 yards away from goal. He encounters a one-man wall occupied by DeMay, if I'm not mistaken, as all 10 outfielders are in the opposition's half. 8 of them are inside the 18, or I should say 7 of them are inside the 18-yard box. Served toward that back post, bouncing around, ball goes wide, and it goes out for a corner kick. And just like that, in just a little over 2 minutes, we have ourselves the first corner kick in this half, as there's an Empire player down on the ground. Someone that will confirm shortly. And it appears to be Monroy. That looks like a number 3 on his back. As the referee momentarily pauses the game to ensure that Monroy is fit to continue. Monroy back on his own 2 feet. Had the wind knocked out of him for a little bit. As New York Renegades Football Club, left-footed cross toward that first post. Defended well by New York Empire FC. Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo. Back to Garcia. Garcia fakes the first cross. Back to the number 7. New York Renegades FC crossing it toward that second post. Bedward, the target man, goes over his head. Silveira looking about the volley and the chances of it hitting the back of the net. This time not hitting the jackpot, though still trying to test the positioning of Villasis. One nothing is the score line. As Villasis takes his time, the referee taking a peek at his watch. Villasis has to be careful not to burn too many seconds here as Moya outstretches that right leg. DeMay unable to get to it first. Garcia. Garcia toward Dylan Woods. DeMay and New York Empire FC looking for another chance. Dealt with by Bedward, and in fact, I believe we had seen some halftime substitutions. ones that we'll confirm shortly. Bacha has his pass cut short, cut immediately by Stephen Hollis, the number 20 for this team. And interesting to see that Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo is playing along the right wing. He started on the left wing in this first half. As this one's crossed towards Sebastian, a New York Renegade did take a slip. Bacha, who has a note for scoring some dramatic goals, sends that one well over the crossbar. Would have been good for 3 points in the NFL, but not good for a goal here in the UPSL. Well over. Bacha would definitely want a second chance. He had the right instinct of taking the shot. The execution, he knows, could have been better. Moya receiving the pass. Moya to Stephen Hollis. Demey forced into backdropping as well. Stephen Hollis chasing it down alongside George Yusuf. Crossed toward that first post. Ball still trickling around the penalty area before it's eventually cleared away, as he has his jersey tugged. New York Empire FC losing the ball in a dangerous spot. New York Empire still trying to control its own third defensively. New York Renegades FC with a cross toward that second post. Gets past 2 clearance attempts. Bacha inside the 18-yard box. Grounded cross-gone shot. Silveira trapping it with the left foot, rolling it outward towards Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo. And that's 3 shots in a row from New York Renegades FC that never really tested the gloves of Villacis. And on one hand, it could show desperation from New York Renegades FC. On the other hand, it could also show a psychological sense of superiority from Empire in this game, considering that it has a 1-0 lead, as this ball skipped its way into the stands here. Bacha all the way back to Cáceres. Cáceres, lateral play toward Bedward. Bedward out wide toward Garcia. Garcia has Dylan Woods helping him out. Dylan Woods still with Garcia somehow. Garcia encountering a yellow brick wall once more. A no-nonsense clearance. Head coach Max Ferro of New York Empire FC must be surely satisfied at this moment with a 1-0 lead. Though that doesn't mean he isn't a little bit antsy, I imagine. Who are still competing against the reigning champion of the regular season and postseason, Cáceres, nearly testing Villacis' gloves. Luckily for the goalkeeper in gray, it trickles out of bounds, but it will be a corner kick. As he takes his time, this should be a left-footed delivery, judging by his stance. Silveira puts this one into circulation toward the first post on the edge of the penalty area. A shot that doesn't connect well, and that clearance makes its way all the way into the opposition half as he attempted to track it down. New York Empire FC doing a stellar job at absorbing the pressure. That was Mason Chetty who was trying to recover it. In fact, Mason Chetty, one of the latest entries into this game. Toldo Rivas toward his number 23, Dylan Woods. Cáceres asking for the pass. Sebastian allowing the Paraguayan veteran to overlap instead on the right-hand side. Toldo putting this one into the air, aiming at Bacha. Cáceres recovering the loose ball, left-footed pass. Sebastian Restrepo right-footed control as well. Inside the penalty area, Rosero encounters a challenge, encounters a battle that he ultimately loses. Solid defending from Thomas. Clearance blocked. And the ball goes out in favor of New York Empire FC. So New York Renegades FC has the likes of Eric Edwards, Giancarlo Perez, Edgar Velasquez, Cristian Garcia, Henry Martinez, Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo, Johanse Alexander, Rances Reneao, Angelo Puerto Quintanilla, OJ Bedward, Justin Linares, Francisco Flores, Junior Rosero, Milton Campos, Dylan Woods, Oscar Rivas, Mauricio Puerto, Samuel Cáceres, and Adil Gowani alongside Jonathan Silveira. As Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo tried feeding the number 45 for New York Renegades FC, Jonathan Silveira. Ball continues to bounce around. Demey poking it toward Chetty. Bedward getting the final touch as Chetty was offside. A belated call, but the correct one. Meanwhile, New York Empire Football Club features the likes of Kirill Aaron, Mateus Adamic, Adamic, Naeem Charles, Mason Chetty, Timothy Demey, Wilbur Gomez, MG Goose, Trevor Henderson, Stephen Hollis, Carlos Martinez, Ryan Mehriari, Sebastian Momroy, Daniel Moya, Nicholas Reynoso, Steven Rojas, Edward Speed, Kendall Thomas, Jonathan Villasis, Giuseppe Vitale, and George Yusuf. That being said, on the bench as well is Andrade Wright Jr., the Jamaican defender. He is injured, recovering from it, as he disclosed to us here at Game and Frame, and we're wishing him a speedy recovery. A good athlete and a good human being as a whole, as Francisco Flores plays it back towards Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo. A pass too long, sliding clearance gone past. Cáceres cuts it down, playing it all the way back toward the safest option in the form of Eric Edwards. Edwards toward Bedward. Pushed forward by Garcia. Junior Rosero controlling with his torso. Rosero still inside the penalty area. Now evades the challenge. Trickling its way once more to the 18-yard box. Villasis stops the shot toward his near post. There was a slight ricochet as well. Knuckling faster toward the ground. Good stop by Villasis as he punts this one forward toward the vicinity of Chetty. Throw in for New York Empire FC. NYEFC taking its time with this throw in before lobbing it toward the head of Demey. Demey returning the ball to his opponent via a throw in. And in the meanwhile here, do make sure to follow Game in Frame on Instagram at Game in Frame for the latest in Northeast grassroots soccer, as Silveira plays it toward Ruiz Restrepo. Sebastian turning up the speed, has Hollis alongside Moya marking him. Switching the play, lovely ball toward Woods. Dylan Woods using his torso to control, crossing it, ultimately to nobody. Dangerous clearance, however. New York Renegades FC inside the penalty area, ricocheting off a yellow jersey before it's eventually cleared out of harm's way. Demey filtering that ball. Gorgeous idea. Lovely execution. Chetty looking for an option. Demey toward the back post. Everybody on their feet. Cleared away by Bedward. Dangerous moment for New York Renegades FC. Chetty was stalling for time, doing everything right, even crossed it accurately. Unfortunately for him, no yellow jersey was nearby, but his team does win a corner kick. And corner kicks in New York Empire FC recently are like peanut butter and jelly, perfectly combined together. This one toward the far post, Eric Edwards punches it away. As a matter of fact, New York Empire FC with another corner kick now. The club itself scored two-headed goals versus Future Soccer Academy in its first game of the season. So that goes to show how dangerous they are in the air. As I believe Stephen Hollis will be taking this corner kick. This one lobbed toward the back post. Demey bringing it down. Has help from Reynoso! Just a little over the bar. Just a 1 foot. No closer. A whole 12 inches separating what could have been an upper 90 goal. Not a bad attempt by Reynoso. Good positioning from the Empire number 14 as Silveira alongside Junior Rosero are replaced for now Emerging onto the field is the number 21 of New York Renegades FC, Milton Campos. And if I'm not mistaken, that's a 25 on his shorts, which would be Mauricio Puerto. New York Renegades FC in the opposition half. With some clever touches, New York Empire FC returning the favor. This 5-3-2, countering the 4-3-3. Chetty hoping that his teammate would have had enough juice to get to the ball. As entering the game now for New York Empire FC is Naeem Charles. No foul, says the referee, both contesting for the sphere itself. And that one, no doubt, referee blows the whistle for an infraction. As Eric Edwards decides to become the set piece man in his own half. We are officially past the hour mark. 1-0 in favor of Empire. As New York Renegades FC with a lovely piece of control. Still a dangerous moment. Still on the edge of the penalty area. Squeezing his way past two, but not the third and the fourth. Good recovery by New York Empire FC, but it's short-lived as Cáceres intercepts it. Cáceres toward the right wing. Sebastian, the Colombian, pushing it out wide, crossing with that right foot. A little too wide and a little too strong. Ultimately a switch play rather than a cross. That's recovered by Dylan Woods. Back-to-back crosses, still inside the 18-yard box. Moya controls. Moya playing it toward Chetty. Chetty pushing that ball all the way back for Stephen Hollis. Hollis, left-footed lob forward as it exits the boundary. In its last match, New York Renegades Football Club saw goals from Rosero, Dylan Woods, Milton Campos, and Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo, according to Boris Linares. An outright offensive performance. A 4-0 result. And as a matter of fact, New York Empire FC in this match had given New York Renegades FC its first conceded goal of the season. In the combined Northeast American conferences, New York Renegades FC is now the last team to have conceded a goal. 2 straight clean sheets in the regular season this year, now interrupted by an Empire goal. Stephen Hollis keeps Villasis's ball alive. Bacha thought it had crossed the boundary. I must agree with the assistant referee. It was still in play. Hollis, too soft as Bedward intercept. Toldo Rivas, his heel being clipped. No argument about that as Moya tries to argue his case, and the number 6 has to be careful here. Already on a yellow card. Or pardon me, that's actually Reynoso alongside Moya. Reynoso's on the yellow card, if I recall correctly. Renegades. There's a fine line between urgency and desperation. And New York Renegades FC finds itself tiptoeing that fine line. Bacha. Sebastian keeping it alive somehow. Almost exiting the field of play. Sebastian using his pace. Sebastian one step over. Sebastian crossing it once more toward that back post. Dangerous clearance, dangerous block. Still bouncing around the penalty area. As Stephen Hollis delivers a driven clearance. Gone pass. Chetty, good 1-2 passes. Lob toward Charles. Charles brought down. That should be a foul. Referee perhaps going to signal advantage here. Knocked forward. Chetty chasing it. Chetty still in possession. Chetty chopping it inward. Oh, it was a piece of altruism. The right idea by the number 13, hoping that his number 14 could have collected the pass. Unfortunately for him, New York Renegades FC recovers well. Good communication between those two up front, Reynoso alongside Chetty. Although Naeem Charles would have driven, or should have drawn, I should say, the foul. Good arbitration as well, allowing advantage to play on. Charles, speaking of advantage, none given here. The referee immediately blowing the whistle. The black and yellow. Not too far away now from what could be considered a historic win in its young history. Lobbed forward towards Stephen Hollis, the number 20. Stephen Hollis, the left wing back, turning into a left winger himself. Hollis has Chetty to help him out alongside Moya. Moya unable to cut it first. The same cannot be said for Sebastian Monroy, who also draws the foul, being slightly stamped as Thomas won't be taking this free kick. Instead, Yusuf opts to slow down the pace, slow down the tempo now that we've approached the 65th minute officially. Yusuf receiving the pass from Thomas. Yusuf. Oh, that's a dangerous lob from Monroy. This could be a lethal execution as Sebastian, I should say, shoved off the ball. The assistant referee signals for a corner kick. No foul, but it will be a corner kick. New York Renegades Football Club. Likewise dangerous in the air. Francisco Flores scored a header earlier this season in Game 1 versus Brooklyn FC. In stoppage time, this one a grounded cross making its way outside the penalty area. He has time to think about this. Second chance, second cross. Villasis had it all under control. Another goal kick for New York Empire FC. And if we were to keep a stat number here of goal kicks, we would see an astounding number in favor of New York Empire FC, going to show that it's absorbing the pressure. Likewise, it demonstrates that New York Renegades FC is trying to force its opponent onto the back foot, as that's a foul called against New York Renegades FC, perhaps to the surprise of Mauricio Puerto, the Honduran forward. Charles, good connection with Chetty. Chetty about to enter the penalty area. He does, inside the 18-yard box, crossed, and it exits the penalty area as well. Second chance as Moya recovers the ball. Moya goes down. Moya draws the foul. Almost feels like an even 50-50 here in this part of New York in terms of the spectators here. The two sides equally noisy for their respective teams. Again, before this game, New York Renegades FC, New York Braveheart SC, and New York Empire FC are all tied for first place on 6 points. Speed with the free kick, looking to knuckle it down, hoping to copy the technique of his countryman, Gareth Bale, though unfortunately for him, soars over the crossbar, not by much, however. Henderson appears to be ready for a substitution here, so Anderson might have been replaced here, unless he's just going for a sip of water. Though there is a substitute ready for NYEFC, as Stephen Hollis is the player officially replaced. So Hollis exits, and Kirol Aaron enters. Registered as a forward, according to UPSL itself, this could be a defensive change, given that he replaced Hollis, the left wing back. And in fact, it looks like Yusuf is talking about strategy here, defensive ones. Edwards puts the ball back into circulation. Yo-Yo Alexander. Bedward, back to Yo-Yo. At the feet of Dylan Woods. The Honduran along the right wing, trying to find his space as Cáceres connects with Yo-Yo Alexander. Bedward moving farther up into the field. It almost appears that Yo-Yo Alexander will be the new center back as Bedward pushes forward. So Sam Ruiz Restrepo with a lovely first touch. Lovely vision as well. Dylan Woods crossing it, immediately rejected by George Yusuf. Another offensive attempt, another corner kick for New York Renegades Football Club, as all 10 outfielders are in the opposition's half. Of the 10 outfielders, 7 of them inside the penalty area. This one toward the back post. This one could be a dangerous cross if he's able to find the space, but New York Empire FC counter-striking perhaps here as Chetty accelerates along the right wing. Yo-Yo Alexander brings him down. Should be a foul. Looks like it was from behind. The referee quick to indicate a throw-in instead. Thought he had clipped the player. Referee seeing it as otherwise. After all, he does have the better view here. So at the end, a well-timed tackle according to the arbitration here by Yo-Yo Alexander as Moya. Reynoso thinking about the shot, slipping whilst taking it. A little too ambitious, but the spirit is there, as that should be a foul. Referee was ready to blow for advantage, but instead, Chetty smartly takes his time to reach the ball. And this will be the closest free kick of the evening, one from give or take 27 yards from goal. Maybe even a little bit more. We could call it 29. "29-yard free kick, give or take. Naeem Charles stands over the ball with Edward Speed. Edward Speed with the only separation here, given his goal, as there's a Renegade down on the ground. Currently, the training staff hasn't approached the aforementioned Renegade, though he's back up on his own 2 feet. It was Yo-Yo Alexander who had gone down, limping on his left leg. So Naeem Charles or Edward Speed will be taking this free kick from, give or take, I may have to count it closer, in fact. This could be 29 yards, 28 yards, around that range. A 29-yarder, Edward Speed hops over the ball. Charles faces a 3-man wall, serves it toward that far post. Eric Edwards intercepting it whilst it was in the air. Not a bad shot. Edwards with firm hands. Henderson unknowingly giving away the ball. Sliding challenge to impede New York Renegades FC. No foul as he had touched the ball first. Empire. Chetty knocking it backwards. Naeem Charles almost controlling it perfectly. Cáceres toward Woods. As we are within the final 18 minutes of this game. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo. Clamped down, Cáceres. Switching the play here. Great idea. The Paraguayan finding his target. As it resides with Milton Campos, the Salvadoran midfielder. Quick 1-2s denied by the back line. New York Empire FC, drop of the shoulder and a gaining of space. Chetty has Naeem Charles, retreats towards Speed. Reynoso, lateral play more or less, towards Sebastian Monroy. As the referee pauses the game here for a moment. A little confusion here as to what had happened. The play was going smoothly. The referee not... Oh, now we see what's clear as Eric Edwards is down on the ground. That's some good attention by the referee, so one would assume that he would have to issue a drop ball afterward, as Eric Edwards is down, grabbing his right leg, more specifically, it looks like his hamstring, as now the training staff is asked to look at the starting goalkeeper of New York Renegades FC. Giancarlo Perez, the Colombian goalkeeper, is technically on the roster to replace Edwards should anything happen to him. Although he's back up on his own 2 feet. Slight injury scare there for Boris Linares and his players in black. As Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo attempts to reanimate his team. Now that New York Empire FC has a drop ball. Drop ball issued by the referee. Lobbed forward, Cáceres intercepting it, turning into a one-time pass. We are within the final quarter hour of this game. Still 1-0. Thanks to an Edward Speed first half goal. Toldo Rivas playing it out wide toward Henry Martinez, one of the latest entries in this game, donning the number 6. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo galloping forward, connecting with the black jersey. Toldo Rivas, a touch too strong. New York Empire FC dispossessed inside the penalty area and makes its way to the back of the net. Oh, he's offside. Oh, he's offside. That is a painful, painful moment for New York Renegades FC. Just when it looked like the Renegades equalized, he's offside. Still 1-0 in favor of New York Empire FC. Empire survives. Naeem Charles never got too much ball time there. Well, interestingly enough, Dylan Woods, not Dylan Woods, it was number 24, Oscar Rivas, dispossessed his opponent inside the penalty area, and having crossed it, the goal scorer himself, or the unofficial goal scorer himself, was in an offside position, as that's a handball committed by Chetty. And having been a fraction offside, that has cost his team for now an equalizer. New York Renegades FC was already willing to celebrate as a second chance emerges here. Inside the penalty area, fakes the first cross, fakes the second cross, right-footed, going toward that back post, bouncing off the shoulder, allegedly, of this player, according to the eyes of the referee. No handball. Cáceres, another service, toward that back post! Goal! New York Renegades FC! Cáceres with another assist. The two captains in this game with a goal contribution. And it's a lovely finish. A lovely header toward that far post. 1-1 is the scoreline. No team's going home with a clean sheet. That was Angelo Puerto Quintanilla, the number 11 with the goal. Cáceres with an assist. Edward Speed with a goal. Again, both captains with a goal contribution. Dylan Woods. Back to Cáceres. Yo-Yo Alexander. Game equalized thanks to an Angelo Puerto Quintanilla header. The number 11. Cáceres. Crossed toward that back post once more. Dangerous bounce as well. New York Empire FC. For a moment had its opponent on the back foot as well. Lots of desperate shots were attempted. But slowly, the Renegades were chipping away at that back line, at that wall. Chiseling with every attempted shot, regardless if it went on target or not. As the scoreline is all even here. And for now, the deadlock for first place could be broken by any interruption here in the form of a goal. Again, these two are tied for first place alongside New York Braveheart SC as Eric Edwards shields the ball away and collects it. Theoretically, this result would only benefit, perhaps, New York Braveheart SC. Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo on the right wing. George Yusuf cutting it down. The Renegades with a sudden inertia as the referee pauses the game for a substitution. This one for New York Empire FC. Entering the game for New York Empire FC is Steven Rojas. Rojas replaces Danny Moya. So the number 8 for the number 6. Renegades. Sebastian rushing all the way back to his goalkeeper. The safest option, of course. Here in this crisp evening, 54 degrees Fahrenheit, cloudy with winds of 6 miles per hour, gusts of up to 14, none of which have been felt. It's actually been quite a calm evening here this Easter. Cáceres, Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, the Colombian. Quick 1-2s, Henry Martinez, unable to fulfill the pass. Cáceres backtracking, chopping it outward, all for himself. Cáceres to Henry Martinez. Martinez to Milton Campos. Back to Cáceres, receiving that pass from Martinez. As Woods. Dillon was entering the penalty area, but the 1-2 was interrupted as Naeem Charles squeezes it past Cáceres. With that pass, Chetty turning on the afterburners, goes down, should be a yellow card, should be a foul, and it should be a very close free kick. All of which occurring now. Bedward receiving the booking. And now officially this is the closest free kick of the evening, one from about 19 yards away from goal. Albeit from a sharp angle, but it's not impossible to score from this sort of spot. Although to my memory, the last time I had seen a goal from this sort of angle, from a free kick, it had occurred in Major League Soccer when New York City FC relied on Hannes Wolf to curl it past the Philadelphia Union keeper. That happened last season in May. Service toward the far post. The Empire still looking for a response. Chetty not committing an infraction according to the referee. Martinez with a jumping kick is met with the response by Yusuf, the Englishman. A rollover backwards pass, making its way toward the Paraguayan of this team, who registers an assist officially thanks to an Angelo Puerto Quintanilla header. Sebastian cutting it inward, and that's a foul. Sebastian Momroy. Well, it's a Sebastian on Sebastian crime. Late to the party was Momroy. And Cáceres delivered an assist from this sort of distance. So with this free kick, one begs the question, who should take it and what should be the strategy? Do you go with Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, who could curl it over the wall into the back of the net? Or do you go for Cáceres, who could likewise serve what could be a gorgeous assist? Well, it's a party of four over the ball. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo goes out wide toward the right-hand side with nobody marking him. Angelo Puerto Quintanilla, the goal scorer in this game, now the sole resident over the ball. So now it's just a question of strategy. He encounters a four-man wall. Angelo Puerto Quintanilla with one goal already. Goes for it. On target almost. Still forced Villasis into a dive. Wasn't too far away. As we now receive an update from the UPSL itself, Braveheart is currently in first place, having won last night. The website officially updated, the standings officially updated as well. So these two teams are currently tied for second place. A win here would result in a tie for first place. So a tie would in reality not favor either team. Henry Martinez heading it away. So again, Braveheart is in first place with 9 points. That means 3 wins, of course. Meanwhile, New York Empire and New York Renegades, before this game, had 2 wins, equivalent to 6 points, and at that time was tied for first before the update itself from the UPSL. As it now leans in favor of Braveheart in terms of the standings. Bedward nearly losing the challenge. Cáceres playing it safely toward Eric Edwards. As we are within the final 5 minutes of this fixture. Dylan Woods drawing the foul. Sebastian Monroy being involved in the 2 last fouls of New York Empire FC. Now play toward the left-hand side. Giving away Rivas. Indirectly delivering some pressure. As Henry Martinez lets the ball go by. Angelo Puerto Quintanilla, goal scorer for New York Renegades FC today. Playing it towards Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, who goes down. The referee, I believe, signals for a free kick. So the spoil of 3 points here is more important than ever. These are amongst the heavy hitters, the favorites of the Northeast American North Conference. New York Renegades FC looking for a second consecutive goal, having come back from a 1-0 deficit to equalize for now. As we are within the final 3 minutes and counting, without stoppage time that is, and there is a player substituted for New York Renegades FC. Lots of bodies toward that second post, including Cáceres. Left-footed serve toward that second post, cleared away by New York Empire FC. It still ricochets around before it's cleared forward. And with action like this, do make sure to follow Game in Frame on Instagram at Game in Frame for the latest in Northeast grassroots soccer. And we did call a barn burner here, albeit a low scoring one, but it's still living up to the hype. As we're inching closer and closer to the final 2 minutes, served, cleared away. Just over the head of Velázquez. Naeem Charles allowed Bedward to take over the ball. Naeem Charles still marking. Bedward beating 3 on that dribble. New York Renegades FC can't get past Edward's speed, who is an unofficial man of the match nominee here, assuming the result remains at this scoreline. Served, cleared away. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, another chance, taking his time, trapping it, cutting it inward, swerving inward. And not on the same page as the rest of his team. That ball goes out of play. Past the 88th minute here. The scoreboard reads 1-1. Edward Speed in the first half made it 1-0, capitalizing on a Renegades mistake. Meanwhile, Angelo Puerto Quintanilla finished a Samuel Cáceres delivery as a foul is called against New York Renegades FC and a booking ensues as well. We are in the final minute of regulation time. In fact, the final 30 seconds of regulation time. And it all comes down to stoppage time. New York Renegades FC scored twice in stoppage time versus Brooklyn FC. As Cáceres has to defend this ball against Chetty. The two collide. Chetty unintentionally using his elbow to defend after he tried to recover himself or recover from the crash, as Chetty is in fact successful in drawing the foul. And we are now officially in stoppage time. Throw-in for New York Empire FC. Back pass toward one of the latest entries of this game, Rojas. Rojas playing it toward a nearby defender. Not too much space, not too much time. With his first touch, he crosses it toward Naeem Charles, who couldn't pull the trigger appropriately. And in a back-to-back sequence, Naeem Charles also commits the infraction. With a one-time finish, that could have been deadly. We are about to cross the first minute of stoppage time. The arbitration staff hasn't indicated how many minutes to anticipate. My best guess would be 3 to 4. Milton Campos to OJ Bedward. On the left-hand side, Angelo Puerto Quintanilla asking for the pass. Angelo Puerto Quintanilla still in the driver's seat, giving it away ultimately toward Rojas. New York Empire FC, that's a gratuitous foul, could result in a booking. It should, and it does. Way too rash. And I believe that's a yellow card against Velasquez. It looked like it was the number 3 of New York Renegades FC that had committed the foul. We're about to approach the completion of the second minute of stoppage time. No shot has been attempted, in fact, in stoppage time so far at this moment. As Dylan Woods steers the ball toward Eric Edwards. Edwards, left-footed pass toward OJ Bedward. On this Easter evening, the scoreline remains 1-1. New York Renegades FC finding an equalizer within the final 15 minutes of this game. Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo, right-footed, across, cleared away. Empire, Cáceres, a hopping cross met with a hopping clearance. Campos, left-hand side. Velasquez. Velasquez loses the ball. And the counterattack could be on here for New York Empire FC as OJ Bedward tries to stall his opponent. Chetty using his speed, Bedward using his strength, and strength surpasses speed in this case. We are past the 3 minutes of stoppage time here. He's onside, or so we thought. The assistant referee, a little late to the party there, raising the flag. Still, good awareness. Angelo Puerto Quintanilla in an offside position. Already dreaming about the second goal here of what could have been the game winner. We are past the 30 seconds of the third minute of stoppage time. And in fact, that will be the final kick of the ball. Both teams looking for a prayer this Easter evening, looking for the share of 3 points. But at the end, they must share a single point between the two. As for now, the two are tied for second place in the UPSL Northeast American North Conference. So again, it was New York Empire Football Club that opened the scoreline thanks to Edwards' speed, who wears the captain's armband, able to poke it past Eric Edwards, who wasn't well positioned due to miscommunication with his center back. However, within the final quarter hour of this match, Samuel Cáceres, the other captain in this game in fact, serves it toward Angelo Puerto Quintanilla, who was able to capitalize with a header toward the far post, heading in fact from the back post. So again, both captains get involved, but at the end, there's very little to separate these two. Neither will be going home with the clean sheet. New York Renegades FC concedes its first goal of the season after now 3 matches. Meanwhile, New York Empire FC, in a way, takes this as a hard lesson and perhaps as a moral victory, considering that it was able to tie 1-1 against a national playoff contestant of last season, not to mention the regular season champion of the Northeast American North Conference. So again, the final scoreline here is New York Empire Football Club 1, New York Renegades FC 1. Behind the camera has been Roberto Estrada. I have been Sean Cabrera, and we thank you for tuning into this transmission of the United Premier Soccer League on Game in Frame. Happy Easter, everybody.